This is Eddie Hearn, Matchroom Boxing. You're watching Sporting Icons. You don't need to be anywhere else.
Right, I'm Josh Kelly, welterweight, currently 6-0, fighting for the Commonwealth title. Follow Sporting Icons.
Why, man, what's going on? So boxing has come to my city in Newcastle upon Tyne, and it'll be this weekend with the headliner of Josh Kelly and Chris George, with a co-headline, of course, with Lewis Ritson versus Paul Hyland. And this card is stacked. It's a very, very good card. For those of you who follow British boxing, you'll know exactly what it is that I'm saying. And of course, you'll agree as I go through the card as well. Of course, if you don't know who's on the card, and since last time when the show was announced, there's been a few additions to this one as well, which we'll get into as we go. So I'm really looking forward to it. As I said, this will be a Matchroom show, and it'll be at the Metro Arena in Newcastle. So only 5 minutes from my house. So first up, we have Chad Ellis. Chad Ellis, he's from County Durham, and he'll be taking on Kevin McCauley. And you'll notice quite a bit of a theme with this card as well, that a lot of them are from the northeast of England. So that would be Durham, Sunderland, Newcastle, Northumberland, etc., South Shields, etc. So anyway, Chad Ellis, he's taking on Kevin McCauley. And Chad Ellis, this is only his second pro fight. And this, of course, will be at super welterweight, and it's a 4-rounder. So it'd be good to see what he's about. Also on this card is, again, another guy from the northeast, will be Lawrence Asuki, and he is from Newcastle. And this will be his third fight with an opponent yet to be named, and this will be at light heavyweight. Of course, here in Britain, we're producing quite a lot of light heavyweights at the minute, so who knows, maybe he can be one of the pack going forward. He's 30 years old, so we'll have to wait and see. This is only his third fight as well, so let's see what he's all about. Also on this card, we have Darren Ray, and he'll be going up against Mohammed Mohammed, and this will be at super lightweight. Now, Darren Ray, again, he's from the northeast himself, from Northumberland. In fact, he's 28 years old, only had 2 fights himself, and so this will be third one, obviously. And as I said, this will be at super lightweight, so it'd be good to see what it is that he's all about. So looking forward to that one. Also here will be Jake Hague, and he'll be going up against Adam Jones at super middleweight. Jake Hague is a very, very good fighter. Actually, speaking of Jake Hague,
hi, my name is Jake Hague, and I'm a super middleweight prospect signed by Ricky Hatton. I'm just telling you to go and subscribe to Sporting Icons for the latest boxing news. Go and check them out.
Yep, thanks Jake. So Jake Hague, this will be his 10th fight, and he's currently trained by Ricky Hatton. He's not from the northeast himself, he's from Macclesfield in Cheshire. So he's only 23 years old, and super middleweight. Again, we always produce great super middleweights here in Britain. We have done for a long, long time, and maybe Jake Hague going forward could be one of those. I have to wait and see. So Jake Hague, he will be taking on Adam Jones. And we're going to see the return of Hosea Burton. Hosea Burton, he is from Newcastle originally, it's where he was born, but resides in, I believe it's Manchester now. And he's a cousin of Tyson Fury and Hughie Fury, and of course a few others. So Hosea Burton only got 1 loss on his record, and that was against Frank Buglioni, and for me, he was winning that fight up until he get clipped. Of course, that doesn't really matter, because the result is the result, right? But I really like Hosea Burton. He's tall, he's thin, and of course, light heavyweight. He's a guy who's been calling at Anthony Yard, and Anthony Yard, for the most part, just doesn't want anything to do with Hosea Burton, but that is what it is, doesn't really matter. So, excellent to see Hosea Burton. Again, no opponent yet. Also on this card will be, again, another lad from the northeast, which will be Glenn Foote. Glenn Foote will be taking on Sam Omidi. And Glenn Foote, he is a super lightweight. He's 30 years old with a record of 22 wins, 7 by knockout, with only 3 defeats. A lot of you guys will know Glenn Foote if you've been watching the Matchroom shows. He's from Sunderland as well, so it would be good to see him, and good luck to him, of course. Also on this card will be the return of one Ricky Burns. Ricky Burns from Scotland, been in there with some of the best in the world, including Terence Crawford, of course. Ricky Burns currently at lightweight, with an opponent yet to be announced. Ricky Burns, most people in Britain know who Ricky Burns is, so he is a late addition to the card. As I said, no opponent yet, so it'd be really good to see Ricky Burns out. I think his last fight, was it against Anthony Crolla, wasn't it? And as I said before then, he has fought the likes of Terence Crawford and that before as well. So it'd be good to see Ricky Burns out. Also on this card is Anthony Nelson, and he'll be going up against Charlie Edwards. Anthony Nelson, he's from South Shield, so again from the northeast up here, and Charlie Edwards, who I really rate as well. And speaking of Charlie Edwards,
hi, this is Charlie Edwards. Please subscribe to Sporting Icon for the latest boxing news.
Yep, that's Charlie Edwards. So already you can kind of see why, if you're keeping up with this video, why I'm very excited about this card. So Anthony Nelson is 12 wins and 1 loss, with only 2 of those 12 wins by knockout. And he has taken a bit of time off from boxing. He took the best part of 2 years off. He did, for one reason or another. And that was after his loss, which was for the Commonwealth Super Flyweight title. And he had a bit of a tune-up against a journeyman, Simas Volisinas, a couple of weeks back there, and he beat him on points over 6 rounds. But now he's going up against Charlie Edwards. Charlie Edwards has an exact same record as him, which is 12-1, with a slightly better knockout percentage, with 5 of those being by knockout. And Charlie Edwards is 35 years old, of course. Brother of Sonny Edwards, and of course he's been chasing Cal Yafai. He has a real belief that he can beat Cal Yafai. So we'll really have to wait and see how he gets on with that one. Hopefully we get to see that fight. I would love to see that fight, of course. And you know, I really like both these fighters, and of course Charlie Edwards there. So also on this card will be Afran Iqbal, and he's going to be going up against Northeast guy Simon Valili. And Iqbal is 26 years old, and this will be at cruiserweight. And Iqbal is undefeated in 12, so he's currently 12-0 with 5 of those by knockout. Salman Valili is 13-1, and he is 32 years old, and he's from Middlesbrough. So be good to see him out again. And his only loss was against Marius Bradis. You all know who he is, right? And this was at the Echo Arena in Liverpool, where he lost by technical knockout in round number 3. That's his only loss on the record. So it'll be interesting to see what Salman Valili can do now against Afran Iqbal. Also on this card, Gavin McDonnell. Gavin McDonnell, obviously brother of Jeremy McDonnell, who recently just had a defeat against Inoue. And speaking of Gavin McDonnell,
WBC International Champion. Tune in on follow Sporting Icons.
Yep, that is Gavin McDonnell. So Gavin McDonnell will be taking on a local lad in Stuart Hall. Now Gavin McDonnell is currently, he's 19-1 with 2 draws. He's 32 years old, from Doncaster, so he's from the north, just not the northeast. And he will be defending his WBC International Super Bantamweight title. And the guy that he's fighting will be Stuart Hall as well. Now Stuart Hall is 21 fights in, 6 losses and 2 defeats, and he's 38 years old, and he's from County Durham and Darlington, of course. So he lost to Paul Butler, and he's lost to Lee Haskins as well. So he's been around a bit. In fact, he's lost twice to Paul Butler. But yeah, so this is an interesting fight, and of course he lost to Gavin McDonnell's brother Jamie as well. So this will be a bit of revenge for him, Stuart Hall, if he can get the win over Gavin McDonnell, no doubt. It's kind of unlikely, I would probably imagine, but you never know. I mean, Stuart Hall, he's going to have the bit between his teeth, no doubt. And but the only defeat on Gavin McDonnell's resume was way back when, in 2017, so just over a year ago now, against Ray Vargas. And he lost a majority decision as well. He's a very, very good fighter. And last time out, he schooled Gamal Yafai all over 12 rounds. So very, very good fight, Gavin McDonnell against Stuart Hall. And the co-main event on this one will be Lewis Ritson. And Lewis Ritson will be going up against Paul Hyland Jr. Speaking of Lewis Ritson and Paul Hyland Jr.,
this is Lewis Ritson and you're watching Sport Icons.
Paul Hyland Jr. here, done my press conference here from an expert title fight. I'm watching the Sport Icons.
Yep, that's Lewis Ritson and Paul Hyland Jr. Now Lewis Ritson, he is 15-0, and he's from Newcastle up here, and He's the Sandman, 24 years old. A lot of you guys will have seen him in his last fight against Scotty Cardle, which was a very good fight where he stopped him in 2 rounds. Lewis Ritson is definitely one for the future, no doubt about it. Most people who have seen him would totally agree with that. Paul Hyland Jr. is 18-0, so this is a battle of the undefeateds. And of course, this will be for Lewis Ritson's British Boxing Board of Control British lightweight title. And if Lewis Ritson can win this one, he'll keep hold of the title, of course, because this will be his 3rd successful defence. Paul Hyland Jr., obviously he wants to end the reign and make sure he takes the belt back with him. He's 27 years old, from Belfast, Northern Ireland. And it'll be very, very interesting to see who wins this fight. This is a battle of the undefeated, 15-0 versus 18-0. And it's a very, very hard one to pick. It's a real pick'em, no doubt about it. And he has some pretty decent wins on his record as well. And when he was offered the chance for this one, he jumped at it. So he's got full belief in his own ability, and he's in here to win that title. When I spoke with Paul Hyland Jr. A few weeks ago, he was saying how he wants that belt. He's really looking forward to holding that belt and ending the reign of Lewis Ritson. But we'll have to wait and see, of course. So the main event will be Josh Kelly. Josh Kelly will be going up against Chris George. Now, Josh Kelly, he is 24 years old and only 6-0. So he's going for a Commonwealth, which is absolutely fantastic. Now, Chris George, he's an Australian. He's currently 14-1. And this will be for the Commonwealth, of course, as we know. And the WBA International welterweight title as well. So whoever wins this one is going to be pretty ranked, going to be quite highly ranked, probably like top 20 you would imagine within the WBA at welterweight. And Chris George, as I said, he's from Australia, in Queensland to be precise. He's 28 years old, and it's an interesting one, no doubt, as only 14-1. So it's a huge step up for a novice, a pro novice as Josh Kelly. But everybody who watches Josh Kelly knows that Josh Kelly is the business. He really is. He looks the part, he acts the part. Adam Booth, obviously his trainer, speaking of him.
I'm Adam Booth and you're watching Sporting Icons.
Yep, that's Adam Booth, who is the trainer of Josh Kelly. For me, I think Josh Kelly's going to win this one. I think he's way ahead of what most people believe he is for only 6-0 and 24 years old. The pretty boy from Sunderland. He's something special. He's what the UK version of Lomachenko. I've heard this said on quite a few occasions, but ultimately we'll really have to wait and see. This is a huge step up. Maybe a step up too soon. Who knows? Don't know. But for me, I believe that he can do this. His last fight, of course, was against Carlos Molina, who, of course, was a former IBF World Welterweight Champion. So already he's got a pretty decent resume, and to beat Chris George, he's only extending to it as well. So this is the main event, which will be Chris George against Josh Kelly, and really looking forward to it. So drop your thoughts below as to what you think about this card. Is this card actually better than O2 Arena next weekend for the Frank Warren Show? Anyway, drop your thoughts below, click that thumbs up, subscribe. Catch you all on the next video.